magnetic north. A few hours ago, and a few hours hence, over the vast, empty territory of Alaska, Americans fly tedious, repeated patrols. War has come to the wilderness, waste, void of the ultimate north. For the first time in history, the vacuum that is the top of the world is filled by major powers who meet there and clash. As the Earth shrinks in circumference, so do the routes that link allies together. So do the avenues along which enemies attack. The links must be kept clear, the avenues defended. After Dunkirk, while Englishmen stand at bay, marshalling their strength, they strike to the north. Under Lord Mountbatten, crack commando troops hit key enemy coastal positions with swift, ravaging raids in the ancient tradition of the Royal Navy, the tradition of Drake and Essex. In March of 1941, a commando force works its way through tortuous Arctic waters to stab at the Lofoten Islands off German-occupied Norway. Fish oil tanks, factories, and installations crucial to the enemy war machine are marked for destruction. The creed of the commandos? Plan thoroughly, strike boldly, retire swiftly. Back to England with the commandos goes a mixed bag. Local quislings and captured German officers. And 350 Norwegian patriots dedicated to democracy's cause, the liberation of their country. Target, Spitsbergen. Ocean, the Arctic. Date, August 1941. Spitsbergen's rich coal deposits and key weather stations are important to the Germans. They must be destroyed. The magnetic north draws raids of increasing scope and violence. A powerful commando force strikes at Norway's Vagso Island in December 1941 to weaken the enemy hold and reduce his power over the sea lanes of the Arctic, which connect England and the United States with Soviet Russia, now an ally. But Vagso is heavily fortified, and stubborn German defenders fight back. When the raid is over, 150 Germans are dead. More military installations wrecked. More patriots liberated. More quislings captured. And the commandos head for home as their countrymen, together with the Americans, determined to get supplies to desperate Russia, no matter what the cost. An ally is in peril, and a lifeline is flung across the top of the world. It is the most expeditious way of feeding embattled Russia from democracy's arsenal, the shortest route. But for the pregnant ships, the grimmest, the harshest, the cruelest. German air bases in Norway and Finland, detailed reports on convoy movements come in from long-range reconnaissance planes. The Nazis have a magnificently effective plan to change the color of the Arctic from white to red. How? Slaughter, slaughter, slaughter. Smoke screen, a device to hide the convoy and confuse the attack. Any and all means of defense must be taken against the terror about to strike. High-level bombers and low-level bombers, torpedo planes and strafing planes, submarines, the entire holocaust of Nazi fury. The attack goes on, relentless, unbroken. But while the convoy reels under the slugging, more death is on the way. The German surface fleet lurks in hidden Norwegian fjords, waiting to smother any surviving Allied ships. The mightiest warships in the German Navy, von Tirpitz, Scharnhorst, Scheer, Prinz Eugen, Lutzow, are poised to thwart the Allied lifelines. Too wary to be brought to open battle, the ships sortie only for sudden strikes. But when they do, the Royal Air Force catches them and smashes the Germans as the Germans smash the convoys. Now the Germans reel in the seesaw struggle for the Arctic, but the Murmansk convoys come close to full disaster. The German attacks continue around the clock, continue for days on end. If the Germans can choke off the flow of supplies to Russia, munitions, oil, food, machinery, guns, planes, tanks, trucks, the bleeding Red Army may collapse. The entire Allied cause may face defeat. The battle is in balance, and Goering's Luftwaffe spares nothing to tip the scales. In some convoys, only one half of the ships survive. On no other sea route are losses so high, casualties so terrific. Even for those who survive the German onslaught, the end is not yet. Another ordeal, as fierce as enemy action, scourges the ships and men of the Murmansk run. The name of the ordeal, weather. Murmansk, the goal, journey's end. Through its ice-free harbor pour many thousand tons of Allied supplies that sustain a friend whose call for help we are pledged to answer. Here American, British, and Canadian seamen make their proudest boast. Despite Nazi hell and Arctic high water, we deliver the goods. The goods that bolster Russia in her darkest hour and help stem the German hordes at Stalingrad. miserable Murmansk, the suspicious Russians restrict the movements even of their own allies. But sometimes surviving Allied sailors meet Russian seamen as friends, as comrades in arms. Directly across the North Pole, the United States faces the Soviet Union on the Bering Sea, where the Aleutians stretch 1,000 miles toward Asia. Here, too, contact is made with the Russians. The United States Navy transfers ships of war to the Red Navy. And with the ships goes the knowledge of how to use them. Speeches, ceremony, full dress formality attend the transfer of the warships from one flag to the other. The stars and stripes give way to the hammer and sickle. But the rising sun also flies in these waters, and the Japanese prepare to plant it here permanently. The top of the world is a Japanese target, and she pinpoints Attu and Kiska for invasion as part of her overall strategy in the Pacific. The Aleutian Islands are to be the northern anchor of Japan's oceanic defense line. While the Imperial Japanese Navy hits tropical Midway, a mobile force splits off from the main body of the fleet and plunges into the Arctic. Alaska and Canada are threatened by invasion as enemy troops approach American soil. The Aleutians. Prophets of war have warned. One day Japan will seek to invade America through the Aleutians. The Japanese have come. June 1942. Attu occupied without opposition. Kiska occupied without opposition. 10 forlorn Americans are captured at the Kiska weather station. At scattered, dreary, undermanned bases, like Dutch Harbor in the eastern Aleutians, American pilots brave the world's worst flying weather to harass and reconnoiter the Japanese. Their mission is to neutralize the enemy on Attu and Kiska, cut off his supplies and make the islands worthless, until men and ships can be gathered to recapture them. Attu and Kiska in Japanese hands menace the United States, but in American hands they will threaten Japan. Both sides fear attack by way of the Aleutians. Each side seeks to block the other. May 1943, the stubborn stalemate breaks. From Cold Harbor in Alaska, an assault force of 29 warships and transports set sail for Attu. It is America's third amphibious strike of the war. North Africa succeeded. The Guadalcanal landing was a success. But now the ships grope their way through navigational hazards unmatched in all the seven seas. Treacherous currents, uncharted rocks, continual fog, raging storms. Calls for a landing on the island's south coast. The place? Massacre Bay. The orders: advance into Massacre Valley, where the enemy waits. Soldiers of the 7th Division, trained for desert fighting, find themselves at war in a freezing hell where an invisible enemy defends himself with suicidal courage. The Japanese, dug deep in ridges, hidden in ravines, contest every yard, every foot. The fight is slow and costly. Massacre Valley lives up to its name. 2,300 Japanese die. 600 Americans die. But Attu is American again, and the Japanese evacuate Kiska. They will never return. Victory over the northern enemy is a desolate victory. The Arctic becomes a theater of military frustration. Nothing more happens to affect the outcome of World War II. Up where the Willowa whips with bone-piercing chill, and the skies are eternally gray.